at the offices of Verbac speaking with the marketing manager Simon Boulton today with regards to the Parvo-Alert service that the company runs. Simon, for those that aren't aware, can you briefly explain to us what Parvo-Alert is?
Yes, ParvoAlert is a social media network designed to alert people when cases of parvovirus occur throughout the country. So what happens is when we learn of a case, we tweet the area, and we have a Twitter feed and a Facebook feed, so we share that information, the area that it is, the type of case that it is, so that people are aware that parvo is in their particular area.
Okay. How did the service come about in the first place?
Well, I'm a vet. Before I worked in industry, I worked in practice, and having seen parvo firsthand and the devastating effects that it causes is something that's always been quite close to my heart. So I'm now in a position where I can help set up a community with the full support of Verbac to help with that. What we do, as well as sharing the information, is actually send out a pack to all the practices in the areas that we warn that parvo is, so that they have posters to warn their members, their customers, that parvo is actually present in the area that the practice sits in. Okay.
Now, obviously, we're just over a year since the service was launched. How has it developed since its inception?
It's very, very much more than we actually even hoped for. We currently have around 8,000 people that are part of the network, so it's really kicked off, and we definitely see patterns where months are more busy than other months, so it gives us good food to develop the service and know where we want to take it next.
Okay, so generally you're quite happy with how everything's gone so far?
Yes, definitely.
Excellent. So, I mean, over the course of the service's first year, what have you learned?
It's confirmed a lot of what I suspected, in that the awareness of parvo is very low. A lot of people think it's been eradicated, members of the public think it's been eradicated, and that when it comes up it almost can cause a bit of a panic. So there's a lot of education that needs to go in there to warn people that parvo is still around quite commonly. It's not something that is notifiable, so people won't necessarily hear about it unless the practice warns them or they know someone that's had it, or fortunately if they've had it themselves. So I think it's definitely confirmed the lack of knowledge about how common parvo is, which has helped to try and change that perception amongst the public by telling them where and when and how often it's actually occurring.
Okay. What sort of feedback have you had from the veterinary practices that have been involved in using the system?
Very positive. I think there's always that we have to explain that we are part of the service, because what we don't want people to think is that we're scaremongering, because we validate the cases by checking further. We try and get as much information before we post as possible. If it's only a suspected case, we will say that it's suspected. And it is a case of the fact that we're communicating with them, letting them know, means that they can warn their customers when they have it in the area and pass out leaflets, put up posters to say that parvo is around.
Okay. What would you say to practices that don't currently use the service, for example?
It's a free service. They will get the pack through anyway, even if they don't actively use the site themselves. We will still warn them. They don't have to sign up or pay any fee. But it's a way of another way of communicating to their clients. If their clients are part of the service, and they're actively using it and promoting it, then it helps that the clients see them as part of this network, and we can only share what we're given. So the more practices sign up, the more kind of accurate the data is in terms of how common the disease actually is.
Okay. How would a practice that wants to get involved in this, if they haven't got a pack to hand, how would they get involved?
All they need to do is go onto Facebook. The page is called Parvo-Alert on Facebook, and on Twitter it's @Parvo-Alert. And all they need to do is like the page on Facebook or follow the page on Twitter, and they will see the tweets coming through and the Facebook status is coming through. And if they have a case, then they can either tweet or Facebook message on the page, or they can private message if they'd rather not give it as much information as if they were publicly posting. We will be as discreet or as open as anybody wants in terms of what information we share.
Okay. So, I mean, obviously, we say that at the end of last year we passed the year mark for the service. What are you hoping to achieve in the second year?
There's been a huge amount of it takes a hell of a lot of time to actually maintain social media, and there's a lot of questions that we get on a routine basis, and there's a lot of requests for map type data. So our plans for this year are to actually develop ParvoAlert into a website with fact sheets, FAQs, information that we get frequently asked can be there on the page, ready for people to just inquire and increase their knowledge on. But also we will be doing maps on there where we can look at hotspots throughout the country. We can update those maps on a routine basis, and we're hoping to do some work with other organisations that may get data from other sources to collaborate and improve the amount of data that we can share.
Okay. Looking further afield, how do you ultimately see the service developing?
I'd like to see it as almost an epidemiology survey, so we can actually track the disease, find out which months are more common, find out which areas are routinely in danger of parvo. That may ultimately help with design of vaccination protocols, whether parvo needs to be given more frequently as a puppy stage, and just to be a source of valid information that pet owners and vets and nurses can go to just find out what the current position is in the UK in their area or overall, and have a valid backup for anything that they communicate to their patients.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for your time today, and I hope the service continues going strong.
Thank you.